Okay, doing a quick video here on today's lesson because we are working a little bit on mats, and we've worked a little bit on inequalities, but now we're going to work on these mats with equal, or that they're going to be equal, and then we can kind of find out some more information about this. Okay, so first thing, if you can, start with the warm-up and try that real quick on your own, and then go ahead and check your answers. You can pause the video and check it out. Okay. All right, hopefully you've done okay with that. Let's move on to the next stuff. So today we're working on solving equations, and then what values make expressions equal, make which expressions equal to each other. So in the last section you figured out how to determine what values of x make one expression greater than another, but this one what can we learn about when the two expressions are equal? So today, what if both sides of the mats are equal, and what is there more than one way to simplify what values of x will make this expression equal? So here we go with kind of a pictorial side of stuff. On the left side, I see a 3x plus 2. On the right side, I have a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. And so what we're trying to do is ultimately trying to figure out what is x, right? How much is each x worth if these two sides are equal, okay? So first we're going to use all legal moves that we possibly can. I'm going to cross off 2 here and cross off 2 here. What I'm left with then is 3 x's on the left side, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, right? So in order to kind of figure out what is 1x worth, right, what we can do is we can take these tiles, and it's going to be a little difficult to do here. Actually, I'll take these x tiles, and I'm going to put them down here, right? There's my x tiles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the leftover 9 1-unit tiles, and then put them on that right side. And notice what I'm going to do. I'm going to break them up so that we can see that each tile, each x tile, has 3 1 tiles. So what do we know? We know that for every x tile over here, we have 3 1-unit tiles. What does that mean? Well, that means that in order for these two mats to be equal, x has to be, whoops, sorry about that. X has to be 3 positive units for that one, okay? Take a little bit of extra time here in practice. We got a couple more examples to go through to kind of get our feet underneath us. In this one, we're going to take the same sort of approach. Again, we know that they're equal to each other, so let's do some legal moves as we go along. First things first, I noticed that I have some x tiles I can cancel out, and then I have a 1-unit tile that I can cross out. What do I have? Well, what I do know is I've got 5 x tiles over here, right? And then on the other side, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 1 units over here. You're probably starting to figure out here where this could go, because I have my 5 x tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And let's spread out those so that I can figure out what each 1-unit tile, spread out the 1-unit tiles with the x tiles, right? So 1, 2, and I'm going to repeat that, right? And there we go. Nothing like duplicating some bad 1-unit tiles. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that for each x tile, I have 2 positives, right? So that says that for each x equals 2, positive 2. Okay, let's use this some more here. Okay, now we got a little bit more with some positives and negatives. Let's cancel out some x tiles. There we go. Okay, now what? Well, I want to have all of the 1-unit tiles onto the other side. So what I'm going to do on one side, and notice I have no x tiles on the left, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I am going to add, right? We were kind of showing this a little bit yesterday. I'm going to add these positive 1 tiles in here, right? And if I add 4 to one side, to keep the equality, I'm going to have to add a 4 to the other side right over here, right? Now, what does that create? Well, that obviously creates some 0 pairs over here, right, where those are gone. And now what I notice is I have on the right side a 3x, right, and on the left side I have 6. Right? I'm going to follow that same sort of thought process I've had before, right? We're going to do 3x tiles, 1, 2, 3, and on the left side, we are going to have 2 each. So as we're kind of going through this, you should start to think about what's happening in here. And I did put the x on the other side. It's okay if it's x equals 2 or 2 equals x. What did we do? First, we moved 2 x tiles over to the right side. Or not, I'm sorry, we did not move them over to the right side. What we did is we canceled 2 x tiles on the left with 2 x tiles on the right. Then what did we have? Well, we had a value of -4 or 4 -1 values on the right side. We moved them over by adding 4 positive values so that they would 0 pair out, right? So we have that same thing then on the left side. What are we, or I mean, with those 2 on the left side, I apologize, we have 6 in total. We had 3 x tiles left. So we grouped them into 3s, and we found out that each x tile would have 2 positives, okay? All right, so here we go. Let's cancel what we can. It looks like we got a lot to cancel, don't we? So on the right side, we have 8 of them. On the left side, we have 12 of them. So let's start canceling, I believe. So we have, let's just cross those all off. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so what do I have right now? Let's kind of regroup here for just a second. I have 4 x tiles here. I have 4 here, and I also have nothing over there, right? Well, as we talked about before, I want to move those tiles over. So in this case, I'm going to put 4 -1 unit tiles over here on that left side because they will 0 pair out, right? But if I'm going to do it to one side, I'm going to do it to the other to keep those mats fair and equal, right? So these 4 cancel with these 4. So on the left side, I'm left with 4 x tiles, right? Okay. On the right side, I am left with 4 -1 tiles, right? So what do I have here? What do I know? I know that I have x is equal to, right? Each x is equal to a -1 tile, okay? Again, let's talk about what happened. I've canceled out some of the tiles on the left with some tiles on the right, and then I ended up making some 0 pairs. I eliminated a +4 by adding a -4 tiles to both sides. Then I could group by dividing them into 4 groups. Okay. I think this is the last one, I believe, until we move into kind of some more official type looking stuff. Yep. So in here, we want X tiles to all be on the same side, but I will highly, highly, highly recommend that anytime you can get the X tiles to be positive, it's more friendly. So what I want to do is, since I cannot cancel any of these tiles on each side, I am going to add these 3 X tiles, positive X tiles on that side, right? And of course, if I add to the right side, in order to keep my balance and equality, I've got to put them over there. So what do I notice? I got some 0 pairs that are gone, right? So now what? Let's recheck. I have no X tiles on the right. I have 4 positive X tiles on the left. I also have 3 -1 tiles, and on the far right, I have 9 of those. So let's move these other 3 over, right, by adding a positive 3 tiles here, right? So let's grab those, copy them, because we're going to add those over here. So what happens? 0 pairs, right? So let's finally reassess what we have. We got 4 x tiles, right? We're dividing it all into 4 groups. And on the right, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I'm going to need 1, 2, 3. Duplicating. And hopefully I got enough here, or I did it right. There they are. What does each x tile have? 3x. Whoops. X equals 3, right? Okay, a lot of work and stuff that's going on there. Now let's start to take a look here at what we're doing. What do I notice? Okay, well, you got to picture what's happening here. I have 5 x tiles on the left side. I have 3 x tiles on the right side. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to cancel my 3 x tiles on the right with 3 x tiles on the left. I'll have a few left over, right? So to do that, what I'm doing is I'm actually eliminating 3 x tiles. I'm having 3 negative x tiles, and I have 3 negative x tiles here. These cancel out to be a 0 pair. So what I'm left with is 2 positive tiles on the right. I still have 8 positive tiles on the left, but on the left side, I took away 3 positive x tiles from 5, so I have 2 x's, right? I should put it as a positive 8. Okay, what did I say next? Well, I said, hey, let's get those positive tiles to the other side. So I only have x tiles. So in order to do that, I probably could have even kept my colors here, right? I'm going to add or take away, depending on how I want to say it, these negative 8 tiles. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, right? I want to add these negative 8 tiles over here. Or I could have said subtract, whatever works, right? So now, these 0 pair out, and I'm left with only 2 x's on the left side. On the right side, I had 2 positive tiles, and I also have 8 negative tiles, so I have now -6 in value there, right? All right, so if I divide them into 2 groups, dividing them into groups is division. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Whoops, I did not write that very nicely, I'm sorry. I wrote this in Mr. Crone's old ways. So I'm taking those 2, and I'm going to divide those 2 x tiles into 2 groups by dividing by 2. I'm going to divide that by 2. So what I'm left with is 1 x tile, right? Because I had 2 x tiles. I divided them into 2 groups. So what does 1 x tile equal? 1 x tile equals, what is the -6 divided by 2, right? Taking those -6 tiles, I'm going to divide them into 2 groups, and they should all be a -3, right? Okay, I'm blending, I noticed, what ways that I do that when we solve equations with how you're doing it with the tiles, and hopefully it's not too confusing. I might try to change it up a little bit on this one to help it make a little bit more sense. So I have 3 x tiles here, 5 x tiles here. As I told you, we want positive x tiles. So what do I have? I'm going to have, when I do some canceling, these x tiles will be gone, and I'm going to have 2 x tiles on the right. Okay, I'm trying to do this a little differently. Still have 7 positive ones, and I'm going to rewrite this as a plus -13 because it's -13 tiles. Okay, so I need all those tiles to the same side, don't I? Or 1 unit tiles. So I'm going to add, I'm going to use my, I'm going to do some 0 pairs, right? I'm going to add 13 tiles here, but I have to add 13 tiles here. So that this is a big 0 pair. So I'm left with 2 groups of x on the right, or 2 x's on the right. On the left side, when I put those together, I have 21 tiles. Okay, put them into 2 groups, right? When I put them into 2 groups, it's 20 divided by 2. So 10x, 10 equals x. Okay, now let's go a little bit more. I got 5 x tiles on the left, 4 on the right. When I do a little canceling, I'm going to have 5 x tiles on the left. I'm not going to forget, I'm going to make this a -1, by the way. And on there, those canceled, right? And I want to have -16 over here. I always keep putting those a plus negative tiles because then it says, oh yeah, that's like adding then a +1 tile. I got to do the same thing over here, don't I? Keep that balance. So I have 5 x tiles on the left. On the right, I have 15 negative tiles, don't I? Divide those into 5 separate groups. Dividing those into 5 separate groups. What do I have? Each X group would have -3 1-unit tiles on there. All right, oof, this is a mess. So I have 7 negative X tiles on the left, 5 negative X tiles on the right. In this case, I can cancel some, and I have a -2 X tiles on this side, right? If I just cancel out the negative X tiles in here, and then I still have a +4, and that equals 6. Okay, now how do I deal with this? Well, I told you earlier we want positive X tiles, so I'm going to add 2 X tiles on the left, and I'm going to add 2 X tiles on the right. Why? First, it 0 pairs out, and on the right side I now have positive X tiles. Fantastic. So 4 equals 6 plus 2x. Okay, let's 0 pair these 6 out by adding -6 and by adding -6. So I end up with a -2 on that side. These 0 pair out with 2x. What do I know? -1 has to equal x, right? Okay, and I want you to try some of these other ones here as you go along and see if you can't get the answer. I wish I just had the answer sitting in front of me here right now so that I could put them out there and you could just check your work. 3, 12, -6. I think this should be x equals -2, I believe. For this one, you are going to 4, 8. I think it should be a -8 equals x for this one. Okay, I'm going, I know, kind of quick on them. I'm hoping that I'm getting them right as I'm moving through them in my head. I think this should be x equals 5. You can check that one on the left side. I mean on here, 2 plus 3, -2. X equals -1, I believe. You can check that one. Down here, we are at the last one, I believe. Ooh, this one turns out to be, looks like, must be a challenge, kind of a fractionish decimal. No, it isn't. Sorry. X is 2, I believe, for that one. And I think that's it. And then now you can work on that homework, okay? All right, if you have any other questions, you can try to send me a message. I'll see if I can get back to you. Good luck. I hope this video is not too long. Have a great day.